Live from the New Life Center studios in Coconut Creek, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona, it's Nothing Worthwhile, giving you the latest news in pop culture, sports, entertainment, and professional wrestling. You know, all the crap you don't care about. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
After these messages.
You guys suck!
There's just guys that have it. They're just born with it, and he has it. I've known him a long, long time, and he's had his ups and downs, but the main thing is, I believe once you've had that star, it's just a matter to reignite it. So he comes onto the set, and he's incredible. I mean, he's doing 6-foot leaps as though he's never left, and you're absolutely right. The key to a film like this, the heroes are the heroes, but if you don't have an incredibly superior, cunning enemy, a challenge, so we have to sit there and go after someone who is absolutely prepared to crush us, and it's only through our resources and teamwork that we are able to eventually prevail. But he's fantastic and really, really amazing. You're going to be surprised.
Welcome to the world of the not-too-distant future.
Get going! Go!
A brutal gang is reshaping the world into their own vision of hell. And only one man can stop them. Jean Claude Van Damme is leading the battle between good and evil.
Take 'em out.
As it's never been fought before. He's on a desperate mission to rescue a cyborg who holds the secret for saving the world.
Why did you help me?
I don't want to see you die.
From the dust of destruction rises the warrior of a new age.
Say goodbye, my friend.
Jean Claude Van Damme has become the first hero of the 21st century. Cyborg.
Jacqueline Jewett. Julie Jerkoff. Forgive me, Kirkhoff.
Kill Whitey! No!
Live from the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network studios, It's Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean Claude Van Damme. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning.
Why do I find that Julie Jerkoff clip just so hilariously funny? I feel really bad for Julie Kirkhoff.
So do I.
She's forever scarred in social media infamy, but that, I mean, I can't believe, I don't know, I just,
you'll find it funny. You'll find it.
Makes me laugh every single time.
Well,
every single time.
To be honest with you, before when you send me these clips, I don't listen to them until I'm actually downloading them to put them in our opening package. So, and it just so happened that I was doing this a couple of days ago in class, just because sometimes when I have my students doing doing work by themselves, if I'm grading or something and I'm done and I got a chance to set this up, I could just do it real quick. Right. So I download the clip, and then I also have my computer connected to the sound system because I sometimes have music playing on in the background. So of course I hear Julie Jerkoff. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I was like, I think Human Resources is knocking on the door in about 5 minutes. So, yeah, it was a little awkward. But, yeah, it's funny. I had never heard that before. It's really funny. Those will never not be. Those kind of things will never not be funny.
And then what happens is it sends me on a YouTube tailspin of just trying to find like school board meetings and like community town board meetings in which people send goofy names. And I don't know. I still find those clips very funny. Like, even local news where they read like Asian names and it's completely gimmick names. I find that stuff hilarious.
It will never not be funny. Mike Cunt will always be funny.
Folks, this is the what I like to call the Regis and Kelly portion of the show. We have our coffee mugs, water, whatever drinks.
We have see the band.
Yeah, we have the light comedic banter. We do want to thank Carl Douglas. Well, welcome everyone to Nothing Worthwhile, episode number 131. On today's show, we are back on the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network. We're actually doubly back. We did a guest spot that we'll talk about in a little bit. Of course, we do a little show called Van Dammit in honor of our guy, Jean Claude Van Damme. On today's show, we will check out Jean Claude in 1989, Cyborg. We will span the universe and give you the latest news on our favorite 80s action stars. I'm Evan Moody from a chilly Phoenix, Arizona, a crisp Saturday morning. He's Andrew Gruthius live from Coconut Creek, Florida. Andrew, how the hell are you, my friend?
Doing very well. It's great to see you today. Is this really the first? This is the first of our show that we've done since our appearance on the Rocky V podcast.
Yeah, we were supposed to hit it up. We were supposed to go right into Cyborg, but listen, we're not going to discuss.
Oh, no. I just didn't.
Family medical.
No.
Yeah,
that's not what I meant. I just didn't realize it'd been that long. So,
what did you think? First of all, what did you think of our appearance on the One More Round podcast, specifically Rocky V with Ryan Rebalkin?
Really enjoyed the experience. I watched it back. The most fun is watching your face of disgust at Ryan and I just being completely anal about Rocky V and like every little nook and cranny, I know how you like. I can't understand how, like, and I just see it on your face, like, oh, get me out of here. No, I don't mean that. But it was, it was fun to watch. It was fun to look. It's new. It's uncharted waters for us, so it's always fun to step out of our comfort zone and not be in the driver's seat. And I really had a good time. I think you did too. It seemed like you did.
I did, and I agree with you. It's fun to just be like a guest and just react off other people's comments and just riff. I did enjoy it, and I think what really made it enjoyable was the Ryan Rebalkin work print cut, all those deleted scenes that we got a chance to watch, which for the most part for me went down really well and probably would have added more context to Rocky V. I'm not saying every minute of every deleted scene belonged in there, but some of those scenes that Ryan showed us and asked us to comment on, I felt would have made Rocky V, probably for me even back then and certainly today, a more enjoyable movie experience.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've seen parts of that thing before, but you're 100% right, and I'm glad you feel that way because it does show you kind of what Stallone was, where his mind was at the time, and like the decisions that are made and how big of a difference that they could be. So yeah, it was real interesting, and I'm glad he added that to the mixture because that brought the interest level on a whole new plane.
So not to get caught up in a Rocky V, but I want to interesting comments. You mentioned on that podcast that Stallone did, if not all of the editing. So my question to you would have been, or is, why do you think that stuff didn't make, or portions of that stuff didn't make the final movie?
It just seemed like the kind of movie they wanted to make at the time was not the movie they should have been making. The movie they should have been making was sort of peeking through in those work print scenes, like more character based and more
Yeah.
Like less about the big evil Khan and more about like Rocky, what does he do now? Like that kind of despair. Yeah. You know, that's kind of what was shining through in that stuff. And it just seemed like they wanted to go for a more crowd pleaser of a thing, and it just misfired completely.
Right. And, you know, hearing your comments, that's what I love so much about Balboa, which was character-driven, but you still got the action, you still got all the joyous stuff with Rocky as well in the ring.
Yeah, but it was a lot. I always, you know how much I love talking about Rocky, so it was great going on to that.
We log into Ryan's system, and of course Andy has to put Jimmy Bins. You know, he's gotta show everybody. I know Rocky.
Yep.
Inside and out.
I am an absolute snob when it comes to Rocky.
Did you hear the follow-up podcast in Katie and Kyle's comments to our appearance?
Yes, I did, and I really enjoyed what they both had to say. They liked what we brought. They thought it was a different flavor, which is always good. And they seemed very appreciative. So yeah, it was nice to listen to their reaction to us. What did you think?
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think, you know, to their, I mean, Katie was great. She, of course, you know, testosterone, 3 guys. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it was really that, but, you know, Kyle, I think questioned to some extent. We had talked about, you know, I think the deleted scene with Rocky in the bar, and you know, I know I definitely commented that seemed to be a theme in the Rocky movies to some extent. Rocky's never-ending search for respect. It goes all the way back to Rocky, the first Rocky movie with Mickey and not getting a locker and things of that. So I know he talked about that, and then I think Ryan also talked about. I don't know. I felt like we were all on the same page with maybe in a different way with the doctor scene. And what Rocky's comments were. I mean, you definitely said this was Rocky's KO. And I also said Rocky wants to go out on a sword in the ring. While we all may have said it differently, I know he kept on referencing that perhaps there was Stallone made an error in the dialogue. I don't know. Did you catch that?
No, I mean, I think he was in agreement with us that the doctor scene was just exposition to get him from point A to point B. It's like, you know, this is all here just to keep him out of the ring. And, you know, that it's a plot point. And something like that, you know, to have a plot point be what derails your character that you've been with this whole way, to have this, you know, these 2 pipsqueaks, you know, put an end to Rocky's in-ring career, you kind of resent that. I think that was I think that was the point that everybody was making. It's just, you're right, from different perspectives. What about that scene wasn't logical or wasn't real, whatever? But that, who really cares?
I understand. But I do want to thank Ryan, Katie, and Kyle. We had a great time, and hopefully we'll do it again, or they'll come on and riff with us here on Van Dammit.
Would love to, anytime.
Or Nothing Worthwhile. All right, Groo, probably going down within the next hour or two, Crown Jewel. We're WWE fans. We're not going to go cover the card. It's another big, massive Saudi show. What are your thoughts? Any thoughts off the top of your head?
Well, I love the fact that my entire afternoon is covered. I cannot wait to, you know, once we're done here, I got ordered a nice pub sub, and I am ready ready to watch some. It's weird with WWE these days. It used to be that, you know, I'll watch Raw and SmackDown, but, you know, like the pay-per-views weren't a big deal. Now it's the opposite. I'm more into the matches than I am, you know, how we get there. So, like, the pay-per-views, I'm glued every minute. But, like, Raws and SmackDowns, I'll fast forward through or whatever. But, yeah, these shows, they're always... Look, I am probably on the same page as you and everybody else. This championship thing is a joke, I think. But I love the way Triple H... I haven't mentioned this to anybody. I want to see what you think. On the last few shows, when Triple H is building up this Crown Jewel Championship, right? Then they have like these guys with the white gloves, and they're transporting the thing like it's the most important thing in the world. Does it seem like Triple H is trolling the Saudis in a way, like by overselling this thing? Like I had like a Shawn Michaels Hulk Hogan thing in my head, like the way they're treating this thing like it's the most important thing in the world. It's like they're overselling it. They know how stupid it is. Do you see any of that? I don't know. I kind of have that in the back of my head.
I didn't get that sense. I mean, I don't think. Listen, Saudi aside, they're paying, from what I understand, a tremendous amount of money to World Wrestling Entertainment. So they're going to deliver, or try to deliver as best they can, a mega card. The championship thing. We texted a little bit. It's a lose-lose in my mind. Unless there's real stakes to it. So while the Crown Jewel Championship, it's a beautiful, beautiful looking belt. Boy, that could be the main belt anytime. But now I'm hearing it's staying in Saudi. It's going to stay at the WWE Experience in Saudi. So there's no real stakes. And my thing is, somewhere along the line, for both the men and women's side, some performer is going to lose something, even if it's minutia. I just, unless it means something, I'm not a huge fan of these championship matches anymore. They were kind of fun, or a little bit more fun, so to speak, back in the day, like Survivor Series. They kind of did for like a 5-year period. Raw versus SmackDown, bragging rights. I mean, if you kind of went that angle, bragging rights, Crown Jewel, bragging rights, and maybe. So I don't know.
You said it. You said exactly what I tried to say and failed. I like the idea. I like the idea of like with them really expanding and harping on these global markets, because they are really phenomenal, these crowds and the business. So I kind of dig the idea that they kind of plant a seed in each of these areas. So this is the annual, Saudi, show where this year's champ is crowned of that thing. I don't mind that. What I have a problem with is exactly what you said. What do, let's say, Cody or Gunther get out of this? Absolutely nothing. That's the problem. Yeah. One of them is going to take some kind of hit unless they have something up their sleeve where they get out of this some way, because this came out of nowhere and there's really no heat behind the match. It's kind of interrupting Gunther's thing with doesn't he have a thing going with I don't know, somebody, but he's always doing a good stuff, and him with Cody makes no sense. So it's probably going to be a great match, a lot of fun. I'm interested to see the cleanup job afterwards. To see what happens. But either way, it's more wrestling for us. It's more excitement. It's more, bigger, better. So let's do it. What the hell?
Who's going over, Cody or Gunther?
Gunther.
How do you see?
I see Gunther. You can't. I mean, Cody has taken losses on this trip. Gunther really has only taken one. And I think he needs to go over here. Cody can take the loss. It just depends how, That's what I think. Yeah. What do you think?
My early scenario, we referenced Bill Goldberg, which Goldberg and Gunther had referenced. So my scenario was, perhaps, I'm reading it's not going to happen, but my scenario was literally somehow Goldberg is in Saudi, distracts Gunther, Cody gets the win, but I'm reading he's not there. But that was my only thing maybe a week ago. That was,
What? Wait, I want to stay on that for a second.
My thing is,
hold on, wait, whoa. I want to stay on that for a second.
Go ahead.
I didn't even think of this, but now you got me thinking. Why have you changed course? Forget the teasing. We know that.
No, but
why have you changed course? Why have you changed course?
Well, they teased Goldberg and Gunther at an Atlanta show.
Right? Yeah,
Goldberg
I saw
was
that.
in the crowd, and so Why have I changed? The only thing I've read is I read on the internet, one of the websites said Goldberg is not scheduled to be in Saudi.
Okay,
but
because I think it makes perfect sense.
It does, only because as well, Saudi is nostalgia driven.
Yes.
And they love the 90s guys.
Yes.
So Goldberg is one of the biggest names from the 90s.
Yes. And we know Goldberg is huge in the Middle East because of our own podcast ratings.
That's right.
I'm serious. I'm not joking about that one. But also, like you said, Goldberg is always a marquee name for Saudi. He has headlined Saudi shows before. And this is their way out. That would be their way out. If I were Triple H, I'd be trying to do something with that. Good way out. I like it.
I mean, hearing your comments, I'm thinking there's going to be shenanigans in the main event. Somebody's doing something so that the guy wins, and then they can minimize the loss storyline wise.
Perfect place for Goldberg. Yeah, I think perfect place for Goldberg. Do you agree with that?
I do.
Like a one-off.
I agreed. I do. But I'm reading it's not going to happen. But in my mind, that would be great.
The only problem is whoever he wins it for loses. You know, like if he causes Gunther to lose, that hurts Cody a little bit.
Yeah,
you know, so it might not be the way out, but it's they could do something. So I'm hoping that you're wrong that it's not happening. I'd like to see that.
I mean, to me, no matter what, win or loss, after this, they're going to reset a little bit and off to Mania. You know, start to build the big pay-per-view. You know, the big main event for Mania.
And we will be there. We are officially going there.
Well, speaking of which,
whether we're going to is another story, but we're going there.
Andrew and I are going to New York in 2 weeks. We'll be face to face. We have our annual New York trip. I will be bringing the checkbook to reimburse the Guthius Coifers.
There's no money has been laid out yet, so there's no reason to do that.
The hotel.
No, I put $100 deposit. Don't worry about that. No, we'll wait till we're there. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Set aside $20,000 because we got the. Actually, I'm not going to say what we got.
All right. Well, I don't know if I can set aside 20, but I could set aside a few, and we'll have a good time.
No, we might go out into the desert and see what's going on.
Well, here's my thing. I'm just going to say this on the podcast. I don't care if my wife's listening. If we don't make it to the actual Mania show, we're not sitting in our fucking hotel.
Yeah, you're goddamn right about that.
We're going out and we're partying. Whether or not we watch Mania live, we're going out and we're going somewhere and we're eating and drinking and carousing.
We might be watching at the Spearmint Rhino. Who knows? With Kevin Nash.
There you go. All right. Yeah. You got it. You know, it was funny. You've met him, my friend. He lives up the street, Scott Kerman. We walk our dogs. He's a big nostalgia.
I met him.
I met him when I was out there. The 80s and 90s clips, and he was talking about the Mr. Backlund gimmick, and we were talking about do you remember when Kevin Nash beat Mr. Backlund for the title
in
of the house show?
In like 10 seconds.
Yeah, and he was telling me that the original plan was for Bob perhaps to hold it for up to a year. And I think, did Vince get cold feet on that?
I read something like recently. As a matter of fact, I didn't read it. It was on one of my YouTube videos that I watched. You know, like Wrestling with Regret or something like that.
By the way, I love going onto your YouTube because I love those videos as well. It's like I have it on my TV, Andy's YouTube account, and it's like. It's mostly it's wrestling videos and David Packman. Trump sucks, but okay, fine. But that's fine. But I do love Andy has these great nostalgia like wrestling and movies.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
I love all that shit. I could watch that shit forever. Yeah.
Yeah, Moody could tell my mood based on the feed that comes up on my YouTube account. He's like, oh, he's listening. He's pissed off. He's listening to Springsteen right now. He's mad about something. Up, Land of Hope and Dreams. He's losing faith.
Oh no, I love it. Matter of fact, I've been working out to Road Diary, the live album. Working out to listen.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's good. I was texting with Craig. I enjoy the new tracks live, It's a good standard live album. You know, it's nothing.
Oh, the album. What? Oh, that's
not
just
the documentary.
No.
Not the documentary.
Yeah, that's
live album.
no. That's just a collection of the songs that are featured in the movie. That. There's nothing on there that's actually from the movie. It's just.
Okay,
it's just literally.
I enjoy listening.
Yeah, it's just.
I enjoy having like Burning Train live.
Oh yeah, we were there. We were at one of
Night
like.
Shift.
We were at one of the very few performances of that song.
Yes, and then so I was reading. Little Steven was musing. Why did Bruce click off on Burning Train on the set list?
That's as big a mystery to me. I love that song.
And then even Don't Play That Song was really fun live. You know, that was. And does he still play that? Okay,
no,
bring that back?
You know, I think because he found that he needed to get rid of one of those. He was singing Night Shift and Don't Play That Song at the beginning, and he felt like he needed to just cut the soul cover down to one. And Night Shift is the one that fits with like the narrative of the show.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know?
And I don't hate the live version of Night Shift, but I love that Don't Play That Song live.
Yeah, that was much more fun.
It's got a fun, almost Billy Innocent Manny kind of vibe.
Yeah, I remember. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, speaking of fun, Groo, before we talk about Jean Claude and Cyborg, let's get to the latest news on our favorite 80s action stars. It's nothing worthwhile, spanning the universe.
Van Dammit, spanning the universe.
Yes, everyone. Spanning the Universe is brought to you by New You Life Center. Marie will be joining me and as we head to New York, and Groo and Craig and hopefully Fish. We'll see everybody. We'll go for Little Korea in the city and get some Korean food, and everybody, she can bring her needles and give everyone hormones.
Yes.
And Botox and fillers, and everybody could walk out very refreshed.
Yes.
Us old timers, very refreshed.
Damn right.
I always remember, I tell Groo, I remember watching, we've talked about this before on the podcast. I was watching, I think Bruce was being interviewed on 60 Minutes, and Marie was like, oh, he's had work done. And I was like, no.
Yeah, but then what happened?
Then I was like, oh, yeah, she's right. And now I'm like,
no, she came on the show when we were in Phoenix, right. and she looked at pictures. And we're saying that he definitely did.
No,
and
his
she
hairline.
said,
I believe his hairline. He's definitely. She said no.
She said no.
But I'm still sticking to, even as way back as to the Lucky Town. You could see the crow, like the crow's line, like what that's called, you know, like when the hairline goes back a little bit. Now he's got the nice full. It's short, but it's nice and lush at the
He's
top,
got like the Stallone, you know, like kind of like the hair won't move. It's like It's like cement.
Yeah, I've already said. Speaking of which, I got a Tulsa King. You want to hear a little Tulsa King item?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm looking at Stallone's hairline. It's just, we've never had 75-year-olds with such lush locks.
God bless them.
I don't think this is. But I found an article in which they quoted Terrence Winter, who is the Tulsa King writer and executive producer, basically saying that Stallone himself has had a much bigger impact on the Tulsa King series than the actual creator, Taylor Sheridan. Do you want to hear what he had to say?
Sure.
Okay. So he said, I honestly have only met Taylor once in person 2 years ago. He wrote the original version of the pilot, like I said, and then I kind of took it over. So I don't really talk to him. We just do the show. It's Stallone who's really my creative partner here, and he's phenomenal. With him, you don't only get an actor, you get a writer, a producer, a director, an editor, all of it. He's incredibly detail-oriented, and he's really invested in the show and the character. Winter also mentioned that Stallone was perfect for the role, that he himself felt that the pilot almost felt tailor-made for Stallone himself. And that he went above and beyond to perfectly capture the true essence of the mafioso boss. I really cut it short, but Groo, I can't say I'm surprised to read these comments on Sly. What do you think about that?
It's 100% as it should be. He is an excellent character writer. When he invests himself into something, it's almost always a winner. That's why Rocky V sucked. It's the only one that he really didn't throw himself into. He was lazy.
Why?
And we talked about that. He was big movie star at the time, just got lazy. I don't know. He was just he might have been bored with the character. I don't know. But that story that you just read, I actually did hear that about Taylor Sheridan, like not being involved. That's normal. That's like Seth MacFarlane. You know, like Seth MacFarlane is not. He's not part of Family Guy.
No,
he sends them in. He doesn't. That's all he does. He doesn't write anymore. He focuses on his other things. He does the TED series. He's got all these other things going on, and so does Taylor Sheridan. He's got the Yellowstones. He's got all the whole Taylor Sheridan universe. So that's normal. It's normal for these people to create a show, write a pilot, and then pass it off to somebody, to run it. And that's what happened with Terrence Winter. And with Terrence Winter, there's nobody better to take your thing and run a successful TV show. So
is Sheridan also doing that, like Oil Man? I think it's Billy Bob Thornton and John Hamm.
Yep.
That looks pretty good too. Pretty good too.
So these guys, like Aaron Sorkin and David E. Kelly and these, Dick Wolf, the Law and Order guy, they ran Dick Wolf.
Dick.
Yeah, but they have these empires that, they can't be on every show at every minute. So they have to. It's like Shawn Michaels in NXT. He's basically on his own down there, right?
I think Shawn is he's the Triple H of NXT.
Yeah. So and Triple H, unless it's a special occasion, he's 100% focused on the main roster. So it's a similar situation.
Yeah, I like these shows. It's in 2024. Dare I say again? Maybe I'll be criticized. It's like guy shows, masculine guys. Fighting cowboys, I like it. Okay,
yeah, but there's just as much of an amount of female-driven and female ideology type stuff, that cater to that audience as well. I think it's great.
Yeah,
there's room for everybody, Evan. Inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion. No. Stop. I'm not going.
Listen, look, in theory, it's wonderful. They've taken it too far. That's all I'm going to say. But
agreed.
Marie loves Tulsa King.
Yeah, I'm at the end of episode 4.
I'm just saying, when non-fans, Stallone fanatics like something, I know it's of good quality. So,
How far along in season 2 are you?
I think I'm on 5.
All right, I finished 4.
All right, so I'm on 5.
So, I'm loving it. I'm in. I'm in. I'm more than you. I know you didn't like the first. I know you.
I actually, and I will argue my point to the very end. I thought it was stupid. I mentioned I didn't like the ending of season 1, and once they got rid of the whole court thing, I thought it was very silly, very surface level. Once they got rid of that and moved off it, and got back to the mafia gangs fighting for control. That's their wheelhouse.
Right.
Now the show is back for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will agree to a point. I wasn't as bothered by that stuff as you. I found it to be humorous because I know the show is sort of cartoony, and that's what I like about it in a Cobra Kai-ish kind of way. Not on that level, but a little bit. A little bit. Come on, Evan. I'm fine with humor. It's a little contrived.
I don't want Cobra Kai.
I know.
You know my feelings on it, but
yeah, I know.
I am enjoying.
Me too.
Tulsa King.
Good.
Speaking of Stallone and detail-oriented, Groo, all of the Escape Plan movies are on Netflix, and I did find Screen Rant had a huge article on the first movie. We know that Escape Plan's twist ending reframes the movie as Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, Rottmeier. The 2013 action thriller sent Stallone's Ray Breslin to an inescapable prison dubbed The Tomb, run by vicious Warden Hobbs, played by Jim Caviezel. Ray soon befriends Rottmeier, played by Arnold, who runs security for the mysterious thief called Mannheim, who steals from the rich and gives to the poor. Blah, 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 blah. Ray then learns that Rottmeier is actually Mannheim, with the latter's daughter, Jessica, having previously posed as a CIA agent to get Ray inside the tomb to rescue her father. Now, the article goes over the 3 Escape Plan movies. There was Escape Plan in 2013. There was Escape Plan 2 Hades in 2018. And Escape Plan The Extractors. So I saw the article, and then I went on and I watched Escape Plan 2 Hades on Netflix.
Really?
And Andrew, I'm looking at my notes. I couldn't even finish it. It is the drizzly shits. And it was one of the few times in my life I really felt like Stallone just took a project simply for the paycheck. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on the original Escape Plan. I know we've talked about it before briefly, and your thoughts on the franchise, and could it have been a major franchise for Sly, a la the Expendables? We know that the Expendables have sort of entered it a little bit more into a whimper phase, but I feel like Escape Plan could have been a lot more. Maybe even Arnold could have been involved. Any thoughts on Escape Plan, the franchise, the additional movies, blah blah blah?
Well, yeah, I'll go backwards. I've never seen the second or third. I know Dave Bautista was part of it. Wasn't Stallone barely in Hades?
That's one of the things.
Yeah.
It's almost like a kung fu movie. He's barely in it.
So here's the problem. We've spoken about this subject before. Escape Plan itself is a good movie. It's fun.
It is good.
But my opinion is it was the wrong vehicle for Stallone and Schwarzenegger headliner. It was too plot heavy. You got Stallone and Schwarzenegger. You can't get bogged down in, this technical shit. If it was a simple prison movie about 2 old buddies or 2 rivals trying to escape, not this high-tech prison, but a maximum security Rikers Island type of place where they could really get badass and beat the shit out of people and get the shit kicked out of them and have these quips along the way instead of all these levels of corruption and whatever that get in the way of Stallone and Schwarzenegger. You do that and you make it good, you can have a trilogy of good movies. But when you started off the wrong way, even though the movie wasn't bad, but it was still started off the wrong way. There was the novelty was Stallone and Schwarzenegger. You take the half out of it. Who gives a shit about Escape Plan 2? So yeah.
I can't disagree with your comments. I think you're right. Had they made it a bit simpler, it might have come across. I watched the movie. I also enjoyed it. It kept my attention. Again, I watched Escape Plan. I think I've said it before. It just feels like 15 years too late. Not that it wasn't enjoyable, but I wish these guys would have linked up a little bit earlier when it really would have meant something massive.
And they could have done it there too. I saw it in the theater, and I got to tell you, Arnold is great. Like Sly is Sly, but Arnold is really funny in it. Like when he went in like pretending to be like scared and he's talking Austrian, like that's great stuff. But it's just you're right. The timing was just off. That was the problem. The timing was off. So. Do
you think it just the guys were too big and the egos and the money?
The plot was too big. The movie
I'm talking about maybe why these guys couldn't have linked up in like 2005.
100%. Yeah, okay. You're absolutely right. Because if you look at their scenes together, their few scenes together in the Expendables movies are all great. That's where they should be. That's the kind of shit that they should be doing. Escape Plan is not that. So,
all right, Andrew, let's go back to our guy Jean Claude Van Damme.
You look so excited.
No. I'm just reading. I'm just setting it up. The first trailer for the action sequel, Kill 'Em All 2. I guess we'll watch Kill 'Em All 1 at some point. Sony released digitally on September 24th, said 7 years grew after the events of Kill 'Em All. The film will see retired spy Philip, Jean Claude Van Damme, and his long-lost daughter Vanessa, played by Jacqueline Fernandez, living peacefully off the grid in Italy when their whereabouts are discovered by the evil Vlad, the vengeful brother of their previously target. They must do anything it takes to escape his merciless army. The movie Kill 'Em All 2 Groo stars action icon Jean Claude Van Damme along with Peter Stormare and Marita Conchito Alonso. I haven't seen her in a while. Groo, deep voice announcer, page third column in blue. Set us up. It's the trailer for Kill 'Em All 2.
All right, here we go. Hang loose. Where are you? Where'd you go?
Oh, I like the Crown Jewel predictions. Yeah. Cody Rhodes. Cody. Oh, here.
No, hold on. Rocky. Hold on. There we go. All right, can you see that? Can you see the?
I can.
All right, there we go. All right, Kill 'Em All 2. What happened to Kill 'Em All 1? All right. Following previews are approved for all audiences.
Where are we going?
Mexico.
Home.
Does look good.
I love this place. There are so many more beautiful apartments here that we haven't seen.
Hey now.
Thought the future was secure.
Something is wrong, you know. The delivering guy across the road is tracking us.
Until the past.
It's him.
Caught up with them.
You promised that you could finally be a family. How did they find us?
I don't know.
That's not Maria Conchita.
I'm looking for Philip. Philip killed my brother. Someone knows where he is.
They will keep coming for you.
It's my fault. I brought this on us.
This is not going to be easy. It's not over yet.
Vlad Petrovich, he's too powerful. He will gut you alive. Did you really think that I'm just going to let you walk out after what you did to my brother?
Now, to protect their home.
We do this together, okay?
Good luck. We'll be ready to finish this.
So now what is the plan?
They must
kill them all.
Kill them all. 2.
So here's my first question, Groo. Is the deep voice trailer announcer making a comeback?
I hope so, because I really enjoyed that trailer. I like those.
Right?
I miss those. I miss the trailers. Like, you need that. You need to tell us what's going on. Like, all these movies that they come with these trailers, they expect that the audience already knows, like, half the story. You know? So
when did they stop with the deep voice?
I think there was one guy who was like the king of that thing, and he passed away and he died. I just think that it's a lost art, maybe. I don't know. Good question. But,
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that trailer. The movie might suck, but the trailer looks great. Makes me want to see the first one. I've never even heard of that first one.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, again, if I had a Sunday afternoon, nothing to do, 90 minutes, and I wanted to see a good action movie, I'd put that on. I'd give it a shot.
That looked like a lot of fun. And that the Vlad guy, if it's the guy I'm thinking of, I kind of know him. I worked with him on one of the movies that I did. He's as American as apple pie. He's like got this thick New Jersey accent. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, it looks like him. It's been 20-something years, but
is that Peter Stormare?
Maybe. I don't remember his name. I don't remember
that's
his
the
name.
Guy you're talking about, right? The older guy
with the beard,
facial hair,
with the beard. Yeah. So
he's been like in a ton of movies.
He's like a character actor. Yeah. So I didn't remember his name, but that looks like fun, I must say. And it's good to see Jean Claude embracing his older age. Like, you know, he's not hiding hiding the wrinkles there. Like he looks older, and that's fine. Yeah,
that's fine with me too.
Looks good.
Groo, iconic actor Chuck Norris sent 24 pallets of water to the Seminole County Office of Emergency Management after Hurricane Milton. County officials said the water was delivered. This was going back a couple of weeks, to Harvest Time International in partnership with Norris and U.S. Rep. Corey Mills. The water is from Norris's ranch in Texas. Harvest Time International is headquartered in Sanford, I think, Florida, and has a mission to provide a hand up to children and families in need. Not much to say, but I thought it was a nice story and a nice gesture from Chuck Norris.
I love hearing stuff like that. I think that's great. You know, if he could also make a movie every now and then, that'd be cool too. But this is God's work. This is God's work. He's
Chuck
old
in the 80s.
Yeah, but has he done anything in the last 20 years? What was the last movie he did? He did Walker Texas Rangers. What's he done since then?
Expendables
2.
Yeah,
which was basically a cameo. I mean, I guess he's selling his Peloton thing or whatever he does with Christy Brinkley.
I think right. He still does. Like, I think he endorses some kind of workout thing. Him and his much younger wife, who's probably in her 60s
but
now.
He's still like he reached a new surge in popularity like 15 years ago when everyone was like Chuck Norris doesn't do the weather does Chuck Norris or whatever. Everything was like Chuck Norris would. It was like Chuck Norris was God, and he should have capitalized. He should have been making these Van Damme type movies, cranking them out.
Somebody got me a gift at work. It was a Chuck Norris calendar, and it was exactly that. Every day had like a Chuck Norris ism.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't capitalize it. Make some good fun. And I have something to say about the kind of movies he could have been making that sort of connect to our movie today.
Okay, fine. This came on my purveyance, my purview yesterday. So take a vape. Action star Steven Seagal appears to have packed on a few pounds since his bromance with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So I will share my screen in a second, but Seagal has a distinct balloon belly in a newly released Russian propaganda film, In the Name of Justice, which featured the former star visiting war-torn Ukraine and espousing how the Ukrainians brought the conflict on themselves, according to the Daily Mail. The images are some of the latest of Seagal, who was granted Russian citizenship in 2016. This is nothing new. We've talked about this before. And has been offloading his vast portfolio of American real estate. So I guess he's selling all of his properties here in the States. The appearance in the Russian documentary provided an unvarnished image of Seagal. Seagal was bursting out of his shirt and trousers as he visited captured Ukrainian troops who the documentary claimed committed crimes against civilians. Somebody who once worked with Seagal told the outlet he gained at least 50 more pounds and would have gone apeshit over his appearance in the doc. Seagal, as a rule, controlled the narrative hard when he films, and he would insist on certain camera angles and note that did not accentuate his weight gain, the source said. Since obtaining Russian citizenship, he has referred to himself as 1,000,000% Russian, and we've already talked about he was awarded the Order of Friendship. I always think of the Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, the friendship. The Order of Friendship by Putin. Seagal has, I guess, participated in other Russian propaganda films about the war in Ukraine, even referring to Ukrainians as Nazis in a 2020 clip. The Hard to Kill star was named a special envoy to the U.S. by Russia in 2018. Let me show you how tubby. Let me hang on here for 1 second.
Now, are we supposed to hate him for all this? He seems kind of very anti-American now. Oh my God!
Here's the picture of him. Do you see that?
Oh, he's not anti-arteriosclerosis. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's really. I mean, he's
my
really
goodness.
big.
Munjaro, man. Ozempic. Shit works.
I don't hate him. I wish he'd make a better movie. I don't know.
Is Russia our enemy or not? Are they bad or good? I don't know. It depends who you talk to.
I guess it depends, and it depends on the time. I mean, obviously, it would behoove us to have a mutually more friendly, I guess, relationship with Russia. But I don't know. I mean, Seagal, though, look how big he is.
Yeah, but that's oh my God! All right, you should be wearing black, Steve. He's not. He's wearing like army fatigues without the camouflage, whatever those are called.
Yeah,
and so it doesn't really fall well on you, Steven.
I guess he's really I guess he's like a full blown Russian citizen now. I guess he's selling all of his real estate in America. And,
fine.
Yeah,
just don't declare war on us. and live in Russia and make some good fucking movies. He's got talent, for Christ's sake. Maybe it's buried under all that shit that he's got in there, but he's oh man, some of those movies were so much fun.
All right, give me real quick before we move to Cyborg. What was the last passable Seagal movie in which you had some modicum of enjoyment? What's the last one that you thought had some quality? I don't care if it doesn't have to be great. What was the last passable Steven Seagal movie that Andrew Guthier saw, in your opinion?
I'm not going to count the he did a cameo, or not a cameo. He was the bad guy in the first Machete movie.
I know, yeah.
And he was good, but I'm not going to count that. I'm going to say whichever one of these came first. Executive Decision, which wasn't a real Seagal movie, but he was good in it, and it's a really good movie. Or Under Siege 2. I liked Under Siege 2. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Executive Decision, I don't know if it was, I wouldn't call it necessarily a cameo, but it was a smaller role.
Yeah, he was dead by 20 minutes in, but he was good, and it's a good movie, and it was an action movie. It wasn't like, it wasn't a caricature like Machete, but I'll stick with Under Siege 2, because I remember enjoying that in the theater, and that's really the last time I ever saw a Seagal movie in a movie theater. And every movie otherwise, I've never seen a good one that has been released just to video or streaming. They all suck. Like one time I actually said, let me just turn on a couple of these and see if I'm missing something. And 2 minutes into each one of them, you want out already. Just like I'm sure Hades was.
Oh God,
it's probably the same shit. But he gets a fortune for it. So what are you gonna do?
Was the backstory an Executive Decision that he kind of, for lack of a better word, humbled himself? He wanted to be in on this big project with Kurt Russell, who's a really well-established star, thought of very well as an actor. Did he say, you know what, let me get in on this quality project, I'll take a lesser role?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer. I would have to say he had to make some kind of concession, because at the time, I don't know exactly what year that was, but he was sort of at the end of his. Yeah, it was after he had done On Deadly Ground, and that was the first kind of slap in the face to him. So maybe you're onto something there, because this I think might have been right after that. So he might have saw this as kind of a chance to get back in some good graces. Could be. I don't know enough about it.
Groo, before we get to Cyborg, do you think Steven Seagal should probably get a hold of New Life Center to get on medical weight loss?
I just said that. She puts her patients on some of that stuff. She was telling me about it. Absolutely. Let's get in touch with them. Should Marie open up a kiosk in a mall in Russia? Maybe. We
might have to get some financing for that, but maybe you, me, Ryan Rebalkin, Craig,
I mean, imagine Seagal, like you're in a movie theater ready to watch some other movie, and you see this trailer for a new Seagal movie, and he comes back looking like the svelte whatever, and it just looks like a kick-ass Seagal movie. Like, people would like that. But he's got to be willing to do the work, and he's not. He just wants to. He says, "Let the camera do the work. Let the camera make me look." He
did get big, but he fluffed up the hairline, and then he has this big, overgrown facial hair. It's almost like he's covering up his face.
Yeah, there are better ways to do it. Like, it looks like he's wearing a Halloween costume. Like John Travolta does the same thing.
Travolta's gone full bald now.
Yeah, but for a while he was trying to hide it, and sometimes it would look just so ridiculous. And it's like there are better ways to hide it. Like, I don't understand. Like, Seagal's got the worst makeup people in the world. Like, you can put a $10 wig on and look like you've got a natural head of hair.
Oh,
that doesn't mean it's going to stay on a roller coaster. I'm just saying there are ways to look better than he makes it look.
Listen, speaking of $10 wigs, I mean, they slapped a really bad one on Jean Claude and Cyborg and some of those flashback scenes.
Oh my God,
it was.
Really, I have a theory on that, though. I have a theory on it.
Listen, Steven, if you're listening, give Marie a call at 602-274-0068. Let me say it one more time, Steven. 602. Unvarnished phone calls, 602-274-0068. Stephen, if you're listening, tell Moody and Groo of Van Dammit. Oh, no, of Van Seagal. Sent you, and you'll get a big 15% off your first service. You really don't need the 15% off.
Are you the guys that work with my boy Seagal?
Oh, wait, hold on. It's fake Steven Seagal.
Are you guys the guys that work with my boy Seagal? Yeah, what does Marie do mani-pedis?
No, but she could definitely refer you to a good Manny Penny. All right, New You Life Center, Steven Seagal, the unbeatable team. All right, let's talk a little bit of Cyborg.
Yes.
1989, Cyborg.
1989 was the summer. What was that? Public Enemy?
Right.
Public Enemy?
That was Public Enemy. Yeah. Funky Drummer.
Yeah.
Bring the Noise. That was Bring the Noise.
Yeah.
They have one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time. Ironically enough, Fear of a Black Planet was one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time.
Was that Do the Right Thing?
Yes,
Fight the
was.
Power. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. I love that stuff. Groo, it's a 1989 martial arts cyberpunk film directed by Albert Pyun. It was followed up by the sequels Cyborg 2 and Cyborg 3. I did a little reading on Albert Pyun. He's apparently he's like a well-known, almost like one of those canon sequel straight to streaming. He's like the Spielberg of straight to streaming.
Did probably a bunch of those Chuck Norris movies. I think he might have even done. No, it wasn't him, but I've known about him for years. He's one of those you got a low budget shit thing that you want to make a quick buck. I got you. He's was one of those guys. I don't know if he's still around, but I know he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But so Cyberpunk? Did Cyberpunk?
I think they were trying to go for that effect. I'd rather hold my comments until my end of review, but they're definitely trying to go for an aesthetic here, and I could certainly comment on it a little bit more. Let me just hold off until the end here. Groo, Cannon Films initially intended to make a sequel to the 1987 He-Man film, Masters of the Universe, and a live-action Spider-Man film. Both projects were planned to be shot simultaneously by Albert Pyun. However, Cannon was in financial trouble and had to cancel deals with both Mattel and Marvel Entertainment. The owners of He-Man and Spider-Man, respectively. Cannon had already spent $2 million on costumes and sets for both films and decided to start a new project in order to recoup the money. Pyun wrote a storyline for Cyborg in one weekend. Pyun had Chuck Norris in mind for the lead, but co-producer Menahem Golan cast Jean Claude Van Damme. Groo, does this happen from time to time where maybe they're gonna do the sets and costuming and it gets canceled and they're stuck with a closet full of stuff and let's pivot?
It happens when you're Canon, because Canon, they're like the way they did business. You've seen that documentary, right? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the way they did business was, oh, you got the movie? Oh, good. Let's do it. And they say, oh, let's go today. Let's build up the whole thing today. And they want to get it done now and now and now. And then when they say, oh, shit, we can't do this, they say, okay, well, where's that script for that other thing? Oh, okay, we'll just do that. We use the He-Man costume for the bad guy in this one. So that's the way they made movies, because they spend maybe $1 million on a movie, hopefully make back $3 million, and put that profit into another one, and that's how they made 40 movies a year. So yeah, for them it was common. I don't think it's common in the normal movie making world. I could be wrong, but for them it was. What?
Hey, what's
what
going
happened?
on, boys?
What happened?
I don't know. They're barking. Hold on.
Boy.
Jet boy. That was Canon. Did they? Let me ask you real quick. Did Canon have any movie of any quality? Was there anything that was above the typical schlocky? Is there one movie you would say was actually well shot and had a nice script? And was there one that stands out? that was a little bit better quality than others?
This will make you laugh, but the one that sticks out to me is Over the Top for this reason. I won't say good script, even though I like the movie, you know that, but it doesn't look like a cheapie. It doesn't. It looks good. It looks like that it costs some money. So that answers that question. On the other side, there are low budget ones that they have that are considered to have held up. For example, people still like the Delta Force, and so do I. It's a fun movie. Okay,
right.
I do like the first Missing in Action movie. There's But yeah, but for the most, I can't really think of any other than those couple. They're mostly just like schlock. Breakin' is good. Breakin' is a good movie.
Okay.
Yeah, Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, not so much, but Breakin', I remember really enjoying that. So they have a couple in there. I'd like to look at a list of all their movies. It would take a while. They got so many, but I will say this: when I pressed play on Cyborg and I saw that Canon logo, my heart erupted in joy because I really enjoy watching those Canon movies sometimes. You got to be in the mood for it, but
Agreed.
I was like, oh, this is going to be fun.
So what you're telling me is there's no Canon Kramer versus Kramer?
No.
There's no. Yeah, okay.
I don't think, unless there's one that I'm missing, but I don't think so.
All right, Groo, you had talked about the quirky names of the characters in the movie. Several of the character names are references to well-known manufacturers and models of guitars and other musical instruments.
I thought so. Fender.
We have Gibson Rickenbacker, Fender Tremolo, Marshall Strat, Les Gibson Les Paul, Pearl Prophet, Pearl Drums.
Prophet, yep.
And Nady Simmons. I guess Nady Simmons is an electronic drum kit.
I never heard of that, but all the other ones, that's where. Oh my god, I was like, I knew when it said Fender, I was like, that's a strange name, like the guitar, and then I didn't even think to look at the like Gibson and all that, and like all right, that's cute. There's nothing wrong with that.
I absolutely agree.
And you know what? They played it smart because they don't really say the names very often in the movie, and that's a smart move when you're playing sort of an inside joke like that. So I give him a little credit for that. Not bad. Creative.
Yeah, agreed.
Creative.
After the success of Bloodsport, Canon Films offered Jean Claude the lead in Delta Force 2, American Ninja 3, or Cyborg. Well, Delta Force 2, American Ninja 3, Death and Destruction 4, and Rocky 5. He chose the latter, although he later admitted, Jean-Claude admitted he did not like that film so much, meaning Cyborg. Jackson Rock Pickney, who played one of Fender's pirates, lost an eye during the filming when Van Damme accidentally struck his eye with a prop knife.
Oof.
Pickney sued Van Damme in a North Carolina court. I wonder if that's where it was filmed, and was awarded $485,000.
What? How much?
$485,000.
That's it? You get your eyes stabbed out at work, and you're only getting $500,000?
Apparently so.
What the fuck? That guy got screwed. Oh my goodness. That's a multi-million-dollar lawsuit today.
That is funny.
Holy crap. Funny. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, listen, in 1989, 1990, $485,000.
No way.
6.8 million.
Oh, well, maybe no. That's a lifetime. That's a fucking lifetime right there. So, oof. That guy got a bad lawyer.
Yeah, Jimmy Mims.
Jimmy Bins.
Jimmy Bins. It says here that violent scenes were heavily cut in order to gain an R rating rather than X.
I'm glad they did that because that first scene there, I was worried that they were going to go there.
Okay.
Remember, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I was like, please don't. And they didn't.
Moroccan actor Michael Kesey had the role of a fight trainer for Van Damme in the film. You might remember Kesey was the evil Tong Po in Kickboxer. I think he's been involved with Jean-Claude in a couple. I think he's a friend of Jean-Claude.
They all have their guys. Stallone's got his guy. Van Damme's got his guy. They all have their guys. It's fun like that.
let's hear. Do you want to give a gander as to the production budget of Cyborg, 1989 Cyborg?
Yeah, this really looked like a Fisher Price movie.
Yeah, it's cheap. Looks cheap,
and
right?
I'm gonna say there's no way they spent more than, this is 1989.
1989.
I mean, they had to have paid Van Damme. Van Damme was a star at this point. I'm going to say it couldn't have been any more than $3 million.
Well, you could double check this on the internet, but I have a production budget of just $500,000.
Wow. I mean, that's the thing. It looks like a $500,000 movie.
Yeah,
however,
I
at the
agree.
same time, Albert Pion at that time and Van Damme were not rookies. Now, everybody else in the movie is. As a matter of fact, this movie gave me a Mad Max vibe. I don't know if it gave like an original Mad Max vibe.
Yes, yes.
With the way it was made and stuff like that, and the kind of actors that were in there.
Yeah, I mean the costuming, like right away, it almost looks like they're like that first scene, like the red jumps. It almost looked like straight out of Thriller. But yes, I definitely agree. That's part of my final summation. There definitely is a Mad Max vibe here. You mentioned the budget and the casting. You have Jean Claude as Gibson Rickenbacker.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. It doesn't. It like Van Damme was a movie star in 1989. He'd done Kickboxer. He'd done Bloodsport. He was like $500,000. That's got to be off. But I could be wrong. But it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, you want to double check while I?
No,
but that's what I had. Okay,
no reason to double check. We're gonna go with
I mean, there's really not a lot. Okay, so looking at the budget, it definitely looks it. Am I wrong to say one or two of the scenes with Pearl, the cyborg, it looked okay, decent, like they had some kind of.
Well, that happens. Sometimes that happens. Like Cannon is notorious for having that happen. For example, I'll just go a little tangent. They made the fourth Superman movie. And it's notorious that they bought the rights from the people who made the original three. And Superman 4 was a canon movie, and in all its glory. It's one of the worst movies ever made. And you could see there are some parts of it where the flying actually looks good. But most of it looks horrible. Why? Because halfway through the movie, they cut the budget in half. So that they spent, and so they had to change like special effects houses that they used. So when you do that, parts of the movie are going to look better than others and look different than others. So that's definitely right in Cannon's wheelhouse. So it makes sense that would be. Yeah. Have you ever seen Superman 4?
I think I've seen bits. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it a long, long time ago. Is it another one of these gloriously bit?
Oh, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch after you've seen like the original Superman and you see how good it is and how, how great it is. And then you go to that and you see just like it's one of the biggest what were they thinking movies of all time.
I think almost it would sadden me that such a great franchise has such a glorious end.
Yeah, but it's fun to watch sometimes.
All right.
But anyway.
I mean, listen. There's really no one of to speak of.
None. I did, but I kind of like that. That's what gave me the Mad Max vibe.
The only one I recognized was Ralph Moeller, who was kind of like a bodybuilder. He plays. I mean, you don't really hear his name. Brick Bartle. He's the big muscular henchman of Fender.
What's his name? What's his name in real life?
He's Ralph Moeller. He's like
all right. I know. I knew I recognized him.
Yeah.
I knew I recognized him. I just didn't know his name.
Well, the storyline grew. Gibson Rickenbacker is a hired fighter living in plague-ravaged apocalyptic America, where a plague has infested most of the United States and the rest of the world. Yeah, they didn't really flesh that out very well. In New York City, Gibson encounters.
What are you talking about? I thought Triple H's introduction right there at the plague has ravaged us. You didn't get Triple H vibes from that. That guy sounded exactly like Triple H.
No,
I swear to God, I looked on my thing just to see if Jean Paul Levesque was in Cyborg in 1989. That's what it sounded like to me.
I mean, to me, besides the cheap-looking sets, apparently maybe Albert Pyun feels in apocalyptic world, like we're going to cross a bridge, but it's the apocalypse, so we're going to have like a tethered sheet, like a rip sheet over the bridge, like that. That was like the cheap aesthetic. I'm watching it. And it's like, well, let's just throw like a dirty sheet with rips over the bridge. That makes it look like it's the apocalypse in the future.
That's the way Canon does things. And there's a quick story. I'm sorry, but there's a quick story about the making of Superman 4, where he's supposed to be walking with a bunch of people to the United Nations, and they're filming it in like Austria or something because that's where they could afford to film. And so somebody said, like, this does not look like the United Nations. This looks like an open park. So the story goes, somebody like from the crew collected like 7 or 8 pigeons and like just threw a bunch of pigeons on the ground in the park and then Superman just walks and then the pigeons fly away and that's the shot. And now it's magically the United Nations because somebody just tossed in a bunch of pigeons. So that's exactly the kind of way that these guys, it's like it's kind of like Dolomite. Remember Dolomite, the Eddie Murphy thing? It's kind of the same idea, like Ed Wood. It's like, but these guys were trying to make themselves legit. They didn't really embrace the fact that they were schlock. They thought they were that they belonged at the Academy Awards. They didn't embrace their, what they were doing.
Their schlockiness.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of schlock, Gibson encounters a woman named Pearl Prophet. Pearl reveals that she is a cyborg who is carrying vital information for a group of scientists in Atlanta who are working on a cure to the plague. Pearl hires Gibson to escort her back to Atlanta. Pearl is kidnapped by pirates, a murderous gang led by Fender Tremolo, who wants the cure for himself. They decide to take Pearl to Atlanta. Gibson, joined by a young woman named Nadie Simmons, she was cute, goes in the pursuit of Fender and his gang as Gibson sets out to rescue Pearl, stop Fender and his gang from reaching Atlanta. Groo, rated R motion picture rating for Cyborg. Do you want to take a gander at the box office for Cyborg 1989? I have the same number for domestic as worldwide. So you want to take a gander?
Yeah, I think I saw this movie in the theater. I didn't remember anything about it really. It was like watching it all over again. But I remember it being I'm not going to say hit, but not a failure either. So I'm going to say maybe 10 to 12 million.
Andrew, you're right on target.
Really?
She's just in time for me. She's $10,166,459.
Okay, yeah.
Opened at with a little more than 3 million.
Which at the time wasn't bad.
To coincide with the film's home video release, Canon published a one-shot comic book. Narration largely follows the action of the film, although the final fight ends on a cliffhanger. I'm not sure. Maybe Fender lives. Credited to author Noah Cirque and artists Mike Van Cleve and Pete Von Schally. It also features behind-the-scenes articles and interviews. The comic was reprinted for limited editions of the film, published by the French company. All right, who cares?
They used to do that. They used to do that for a lot of things. I remember
it does, and that's what I think interests me because I think there's actually an interesting story. The plot, there's an interesting story there, and I think this kind of thing could have been fleshed out maybe even better in a comic book form, where you're not limited by budget.
Yeah, but I mean, like the movie companies, they used to do these tie-ins. Like I remember there was like a Karate Kid comic book. They used to write the novelizations, like a book form of the movie, like the book based on the movie for people to read. I remember I used to get them all the time when my parents thought I was able to read.
I gobbled them up too.
Yeah, so the late 80s, this was right in that kind of wheelhouse. They're trying anything to sell the movie. And it worked. I mean, if the budget really was $500,000 and they made 10 million, that's a sweet profit right there.
That is sure a sweet profit. I'll take it. You want to queue up movie fun facts?
It's ready to go.
All right, let's do it.
Ready? All right, here we go.
It's Nothing Worthwhile movie fun facts. Ali Lukin.
Nothing Worthwhile presents Fun Facts.
All right, let's get right to the movie. Facts, Groo. Groo, this was the last official theatrical release for Cannon Films.
Really?
This is what I have after going bankrupt in 1987.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. No. They had so many movies, I guess, in such a short period of time. So that surprises me that this was the last. But I guess, I mean, look, let's be honest. It doesn't look like a good movie.
No.
So you would expect the studio to get better over time.
I have this. I only have 3 movie fun facts. Albert Pyun's original cut of Cyborg
was 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Well, no, but it was a 2-hour black and white rock opera.
Oh my
that was
God.
much darker and more violent. Hold on. Jean Claude Van Damme's dialogue, including extensive narration, was dubbed by another actor. Cannon held a test screening of that version for an audience of 100 people. Out of 100 surveyors, 99 of them told them they hated the film. As a result, Pyun was kicked out of post-production. Van Damme convinced Menahem Golan and Yoram Globos to give him and producer friend Sheldon Lettich, I've definitely heard of Sheldon before, 2 months to re-edit the film, as they had previously done with Bloodsport, and make it more commercial. This also started a trend where several of Pyun's later films were taken away from him and recut by the studio. And that's actually very interesting.
Well, that happens. That happens more often than you think.
I was hoping that they would say the black and white, even rock opera, was much darker and maybe much more contextual. But no, they're saying it out of the viewers, it got gassed.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's an interesting story that I read the other day about a similar situation with a Mel Gibson movie called Payback. Do you ever hear a movie called Payback?
Yes. I feel like Payback was his first sort of post-controversy big release?
I think it was before I think this was before. It was like early 2000s.
All right, go ahead.
Forget the movie, but I forget who directed it. But the original director turns in his movie, and they do a test screening, and and it didn't go very well, but they kept it the way it is, and that's the movie that they put in the theater. But they released a completely different one or they completely changed the whole thing. They kicked the director off, just like Albert Pyun, and put a different movie in the theater. And then 10 years later, when it came out on DVD or something, they put the original director's movie up, and there are 2 completely different versions of this Payback movie.
Interesting.
So I'd be interested to see the Albert Pyun approved version of Cyborg here. It sounds interesting.
Please check YouTube for the work print cut.
The work print,
I don't know. No, I'm just joking. Vincent Klin, who played Fender, in real life has a high-pitched voice. The first cut of the movie uses his real voice. In its test screening, the audience laughed at Fender's scenes. They found it funny that such an imposing figure had a high-pitched voice. Afterwards, it was decided to make his voice deeper, and all of Vincent's lines were dubbed over by Branscombe Richmond.
Branscombe?
Branscombe, B-R-A-N-S.
How do we spell that? Is that 3 words
Branscombe.
there?
No, it's 1 word. B-R-A-N-S-C-O-M-B-E. Sounds like a male porn star. Branscombe Richmond. Well, I mean, this, I don't know, it was a cute, sort of cute, interesting thing. Although, Fender, most of his dialogue is just grunting and groaning, as far as I could tell, and screaming, throughout this movie.
I'm the bad guy, like that alien from Looney Tunes, I'm here to kill you.
I just thought Fender was your typical 80s psychopathic. You see the same guy in some of the Chuck Norris movies. Even I thought Cobra, that same psychopath.
Yeah, but these almost in this movie,
human but almost indestructible villain.
In this movie, it's if you even look at his costume, it's like you could picture the director saying, "Put more shit on that thing." Like, just here. Oh, look, there's a chain over there. Let's put that on. Like literally, it seems like that. And that's what these kinds of movies do.
Just play it by ear.
Yeah, huh? It's like why not? Why make sense out of this now? There's nothing here worth making sense out of, so let's have as much fun as possible.
Hey, don't it's cyberpunk, man. It's
cyberpunk. I guess so.
Groo, you want to give a gander as to the tomato meter score of Cyborg? 18 reviews, critical reviews, 0 to 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine this being very high. I'm gonna be very mean.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say like 7%, if that.
I have a tomato meter score of 22%.
I'm shocked.
Do you want to give a gander to the popcorn meter, the audience score, 25,000 plus audience members, 0 to 100%?
I don't even see this as an audience crowd pleaser, but I'm going to go higher than 22 because it usually is. So let's say 35.
31.
31, all right. So I was close.
Yes. Stephen Holden of the New York Times says Mr. Van Damme's Gibson is so opaque that he makes Mel Gibson's Mad Max seem weepy by comparison. Our friend Roger Ebert said, few genres amuse me more than the post-apocalyptic fantasies about supermen fighting for survival. Cyborg is one of the funniest examples of this category, which crosses Escape from New York with The Road Warrior, but cheats on the budget.
There it is. That's what I've been saying. Yes. Go ahead. So I'm sorry.
Go ahead, man. Richard Harrington of the Washington Post says, it's just another martial arts film, all dressed up with no place to go. All right, Andrew. I can go first, or you want to go first on a scale of 0 to 4 knives? Andrew Gruthius, what do you give Cyborg?
Okay, so I don't know what Roger Ebert gave him. I know he does the star system, but I don't want to know. But he seems to feel about the movie the same way I do. Like that's what was going through my mind. Escape from New York and Mad Max. And it was so over the top horrible that I loved the experience of watching it. I truly enjoyed it. Like from beginning to end. Like I said, as soon as that cannon thing came on, my heart leapt. I was like, this is going to be fun. So how do you review a movie that you truly love to watch, but you know is just a giant dumpster fire? It's difficult. Because obviously that's why I thought the reviews were very low, but I am not going that low. I enjoyed Cyborg, and I'm going to give it 2.5 knives just because I know it's not good, but fuck you. I liked it. So 2.5 knives for Cyborg. It was fun.
What'd you think specifically of Jean Claude's performance?
It was the same as all the other ones. It was terrible, but it was great. It was Jean Claude. It was exactly what it's exactly what this is what you show somebody if you want to tell somebody what a Jean Claude Van Damme movie is. Not Bloodsport, not any of the other ones. This is the one. Pure. All right, maybe not Jean Claude, but if you want the best example of pure 80s canon, like what they were all about, this is that movie. And on that basis, I really enjoyed the experience of watching it. So, I'm going 2.5. 2.5.
All right, 2.5.
I mean, it's so bad, but it's so great.
Well, 2.5 knives for my partner. I'm going to give it a stab here. What did I like about? Yeah, I like. What was good about the film? I do think there's a great story here. A cyborg with a cure to a worldwide plague, and you have to get from point A, to point B, Atlanta, in a post-apocalyptic setting. That sounds like a lot of fun. Van Damme, I'll disagree slightly with Andrew. I do think Van Damme is effective as playing the white meat sympathetic babyface. I mean, all the flashbacks. I've never seen a guy who's had more trauma in his movies. It's like they hack up his wife, his daughter. They drown them, then they stab them, then. So I do think
just for good measure, they poison them.
Yeah, I do think he's able to elicit that kind of sympathy from the viewer. I know he's not a great actor. and he's certainly not a great actor at this point. But
I think he's done it better than here, though. Don't you think? That's my point. I think.
I think standard here. I think Fender Tremolo is your typical grunting psychopath, unstoppable '80s villain, and you got some flashbacks that provide some setup or some exposition to their rivalry. What was bad about the film? It has a very cheap look to it. Costuming to wigs is god awful. It's a fun story, but every plot point could be seen a mile away. Mid-level acting at best. So review. I agree with Andrew. It's a bad movie, no doubt. But it does have kitschy charm that, for me, Black Eagle, for instance, lacked. There is a funness, if you will, to the movie. I think Jean Claude here is a star on the rise, but there's nothing much more as a viewer. It's like they tried to take Mad Max, Terminator, and the Warriors and make a casserole, and it just did not come out as good as the original.
And maybe some Highlander.
Yeah, it's just, the costuming to me reminded me of the Warriors, there's definitely Mad Max to it, especially the ending. He just walks away all silent. Villain is standard.
You're
80s.
mad!
Yeah, the acting is really bad. I had some fun watching this in a Mystery Science 3000 type of way.
Yeah.
2 knives for me for what could have been, and I look forward to seeing more of Jean-Claude down the line.
Everybody's voice seemed to be dubbed, including Van Damme's. It just seemed that way, at least for a lot of it. But the villain, Fender, kind of reminded me of Kurgan from Highlander. It seemed like that's what they were going for. Clancy Brown, probably too expensive for this movie. But and the woman, I don't know her name, but Pearl. I was watching her the whole time. I'm like, it's really amazing how in these post-apocalyptic times, these women are able to keep their hair so beautifully in perfection,
eyebrows,
and how the clothes just fall, and you can still see the outline of those beautiful. Anyway, but I remember I was remarking, like, she looks remarkably good for a woman who's living in these nightmarish Sarah Connor times.
The storyline could have, you got to get this cyborg to Atlanta. She has a cure, let's say, built into her system. If they put it in much more capable hands with a bigger budget, I mean, it's almost like a chase movie, which I've always said, Escape from New York, Terminator, all these, they're basically, the Terminator's coming to get you. We escape, and we know we only have a certain amount of time before he catches up with us again, and we got to fight.
Yeah.
Escape from New York. We got to get to the helicopter. Predator. We got to get to the helicopter.
And I will bet you that these are the conversations that these guys had when they were putting together the movie. They say, let's make it the combination of this and that and this and that. Yeah. Like, that's the way Cannon did things. Like, I'll bet you when they were making Missing in Action, it's like, let's make another Rambo.
You never got that sense, though, as a viewer. Like, okay, let's say he beats Fender and he gets away from the gang, but it's only a matter. It just you never got that heightened sense of, doom impending like I did. Obviously, I mean, Terminator had a much bigger budget and things of that nature. But
you're right. You never felt like you were trapped in this world like you did in Terminator. In the Terminator, you felt like you were kind of with them and stuck there. Here, you feel like you're on the outside, like looking in. And
you're on the outside looking in and giggling along the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Gibson gets hung up in a Jesus-like pose.
Oh my God! I forgot about that.
Basically, kicks the cross down with just the power of his leg.
I can imagine Albert Prion's director commentary. It's like, so we had Jean-Claude up there, and this is an avant-garde kind of film noirish. The religious implications of like just thinking of what they could have been thinking when they were doing this. It's like they do have these thoughts in their mind, like what this represents to them. They're not, and then the producer, the guy who's spending the money behind him, is like, "Who gives a fuck what you think? It looks good." That's literally like the way it is. It really is.
So actually, let's get out of order here for a second. Let's just talk about, for our next episode of Van Dammit, we're going to move from 1989, which is Cyborg, to 1994. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's Raul Julia in Street Fighter, The Ultimate Battle. Any thoughts? I've not seen Street Fighter in a super long time. Obviously, Raul Julia, I believe at this point, I think he was very sick with cancer when he filmed this movie.
I know a little bit about that. I think it was his last movie. I think it was his last movie released. I think after this movie, he went to make an HBO movie, and he got really sick where they went to do it and died for like after that movie. And it was because of something that happened there. It wasn't natural. It was like something happened where like he went into like Venezuela or something and caught something bad. But I think this was the last theatrically released movie for Raul Julia. But I'm looking forward to this because by then, I think they put some money into this one.
I was just about to say, this almost feels like a big major. I won't call it massive budget, but this feels like a big movie, a big money, full release for Jean Claude.
Yeah, well, it's got the video game tie-in, which is always good for a lot of money. So let's this is, I guess maybe this is where they started putting some money in Van Damme movies. Like, this was around the time of like Sudden Death and Nowhere to Run, where the movies looked better, more seasoned, unlike this one, Cyborg. But looking forward to Street Fighter. Absolutely.
Groo, before we wrap it up, you want to tell everybody about one thing you're watching this week?
Yeah, I'm watching something interesting. That I'm a big Billy Crystal fan. And Billy Crystal has this new show on Apple TV Plus, and it's not a show that I would ever be interested in watching to see Billy Crystal in. It's a horror show called Before. That's the name of the show, and it's basically The Sixth Sense. He plays a child psychologist who has a child patient who has some kind of weird connection to Billy's dead wife. Now, like I said, I'm a huge Billy Crystal fan. This is not what I want to see Billy Crystal doing. That being said, it's pretty good. It's kind of creepy. I will say Billy Crystal is very good. I would still prefer to see comedy from him, but is he miscast? Probably a little bit, but the show it has me. I've only seen 2 episodes. I think the third one came out yesterday. So it's called Before on Apple TV Plus. I give it my recommendation so far. I've seen 2 episodes.
I'll give Billy credit for trying something different though at this late stage of his career.
Absolutely.
That I don't know if I'd watch it, but it intrigues me enough that I might definitely check it out to see him in a different genre.
Yeah, the episodes are not long. They're like 35 minutes long, and it is kind of creepy.
Perfect for my ADHD and my obsessive compulsive.
What about you? What true crime documentary are you watching this week?
I did watch last night. There's one on Max about Chris Brown. We had eaten late.
A Lifetime of Violence or something? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. It feels like an R. Kelly-ish where they're in like Diddy, where these documentaries come out and they really, the troubles are coming. Talented kid, very talented kid, and just really has a problem with women. I won't say much more about it, but I feel like I'm in a rut television-wise. I really have been stuck with basically 2 shows. We talked about Tulsa King, and I am super enjoying. And this was Marie's recommendation, and I didn't really want to commit to it, but I love the Penguin on Max.
I've heard that was good. I've heard it was good.
I liked the last Batman, the Robert Pattinson. This is in this universe. I didn't think it was great. It was the ending was very depressing. And really Batman in that version was more like a detective. And I guess maybe I wanted more superhero-ish kind of.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the Batman, but I did like the Penguin in that movie. I did like Colin Farrell in that movie.
Colin Farrell is tremendous. And it literally starts after the Batman movie, and so it's very well connected in that universe. And his acting is tremendous. And they have done. I was remarking to my wife, they have done what all good shows like Tulsa King, and yes, even Cobra Kai have done, which is you have the veteran actor, and then you begin to care about and enjoy the performances of the younger actors and the other people. And so. I won't get into the plot of the Penguin, but it's very enjoyable. A lot of Soprano vibes. It's like a comic book version of The Sopranos. You're still getting the violence and the mob and all this things like that. Plus, you get some fun mini Easter eggs with DC Comics and sort of this thing. So, highly recommended. Really,
yeah,
really
it's on my list. I definitely am going to check it out. It looks great.
All right, Andrew, for our next episode, maybe we'll get one in before New York. We were talking about Goldberg. It is Halloween time. Maybe it's time to go back to wrestling. We're going to take a look at Halloween Havoc. Perhaps what is considered Bill Goldberg's greatest match as a performer? It's DDP, Diamond Dallas Page versus Goldberg for the WCW World Championship. It's our third wrestling watch-along. Groo, any thoughts on catching Bill Goldberg versus DDP?
Well, I know our ratings are going to take a spike because we know India is going to be paying attention to this one. They love their Goldberg. But I enjoy doing these watch-alongs because it just brings me back to our days of yore where we would get the grease and the M&Ms and the
we got to do that.
And just watch and comment. So I enjoy doing these remote watch-alongs. And who knows? Maybe we could find a way to do it in New York, so we could do it the right way, and sit there and watch while we're commenting. But whenever we do it, it'll be fun either way. So I remember. I don't think I've ever seen this match, but I remember it. Like it's one of those matches, like the Flair Steamboat matches. I've never really seen them in their entirety, but they're legendary because I've heard all about them. So
there is one spot. There's one spot in this match that kind of took. I remember I marked when I saw it, so I'll save it for when we see it. And
all right,
yeah,
good.
Goldberg's a fascinating guy to talk about and fascinating guy to review. So,
absolutely.
All right, Andrew, take us out of here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today on Van Dammit via Nothing Worthwhile, via the Last of the Action Heroes Network universe. It's been our pleasure to be here with you today as we took a look at the old but vital story and screenplay and mise-en-scene of Cyborg, 1989's Jean Claude Van Damme classic. And next time on Van Dammit, we're going Street Fighter, the great Raul Julia tribute. But before that, DDP v. Goldberg. Watch along with Moody and Groo. Nothing Worthwhile, the mothership. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, I forgot. Sorry. Until then, no retreat.
No surrender.
It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part. From a fainting to a slip, and a kicking from the hip. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But it fought with expert timing. There was Funky Billy Jim and Little Sammy Chung. He said, "Here comes the big boss. Let's get it on. We